Hello everyone, Antipeter1M here and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to talk about why young people's lives are so boring and mundane these days. It's an idea taken from John Marsden's quite prolific book, The Art of Growing Up. Before I do so, I want to mention that overnight yesterday I should say, I spent a great time with an organization called Review HQ where I went to watch a movie and had a support worker or two support workers comment to me about the movie throughout the movie and give me inspiration and ideas about the movie as the movie progressed. So they paused the movie at various stages during the movie and told me what it was all about and explained the plot and so on. And I found this experience to be very, very, very great. And very enjoyable and educational as well. So an experience like that doesn't happen very often in my life. I find that my life generally does lack value. I'm a loner. I don't have that many friends. I do have access to social media, or what I call screen time. But many of the things that were afforded to youngsters in previous eras are no longer part of a life like mine. Now, with Review HQ, which is the movies watching organization, it's organized through the National Disability Insurance Scheme, which means that I get all this stuff for free and I get free popcorn, I get the free movie watching experience. So I think what I wanted to say was, okay, governments can do good things for their citizens, and I think this is an example of one thing that has really succeeded. And a big shout out to everyone working at Review HQ who have supported me. I've watched three movies there, Jungle Cruise, Suicide Squad, and the latest one, Rebel on the Rye. So it's been a grand experience to be sure, and I want to talk more about that in the future. But let's look at the questions and reasons why the youngsters' lives are so boring these days. So let's look at a movie like, for example, Dead Poets Society, which is probably one of my favorite movies. There are some faults in it, and there's some things which I would have done a little differently, including Robin Williams' acting, which I don't believe was perfect, but it was still very, very good. You know, he did play the main character of I think it was John Keating in a very decent way. But it's about um, a school where they invite a man who is quite eccentric in his teaching style to teach the students. And he inspires the students in such a way that they make their own journeys of discovery. So they develop something called the Dead Poet Society, which leads them to a forest where they camp out and have secret meetings and so on. And this eventually gets them in trouble, and someone commits suicide, and there's conflict between what the parents want and what they want for their futures. So their parents want them to be lawyers, bankers, medical doctors, that sort of thing, whereas they want to be spiritualists, poets, dreamers, and lovers, that sort of thing. So the thing about Dead Poets Society is it presents a world in which there is somewhere to hide, somewhere to go, weird people to meet, possibly the ability to travel cheaply, which is something that doesn't really happen these days for people like me who don't have that much money. I guess I can travel within Australia relatively cheaply, but it's not really that exciting and comfortable, I should say, to travel in a locality like Australia. In the modern day world, there are lots of processed fascinations. So, for example, you see something advertised on TV and you will go and visit SeaWorld, which is of course unethical. As a vegan, I would never do that anymore. Or Disneyland, which is so processed and trashy and so commonplace that it's no longer a fantasy land as it could be. I guess for some people it still holds a certain fascination, but for people like me, I think it would be rather boring, to be honest. Stories with narrative rather than screen time. So we talk about modern day kids having lots of screen time with social media, with places like Facebook and TikTok and so on. Obviously, it's not a bad thing. It gives people something to do, but the idea of being prominent in these mediums is quite um, far fetched. And for example, myself, I've been working on this channel since 2017, and I still only have 110 or so subscribers, which makes it hard going for a lot of youngsters who want to become famous overnight and travel the world and become rich and famous. That doesn't really work that way anymore, unfortunately. Things like from the past, discovering difference in our lives, different parentages, ways of parenting people, strange cultures, strange manifestations. And I guess these things were less tangible, they were more rare. They didn't appear to our minds as they might have done as they do these days, where everything is so commonplace and homogeneous. So we had old movies, we had less movies, we didn't have all this glut of porn and stuff like that. We had old books which we treasured, which we could open up and read and become fascinated by, and of course, amazing and esoteric horror stories. So, if you've got any more ideas about what made life better in previous eras for youngsters, let me know. Maybe it was a more primitive life. Maybe it was a more simple and accessible life. It was more close to nature. It didn't have problems like climate change, overpopulation, the population glut. And of course, we still have animal injustice, which is an ongoing problem. But I hope I've given you some ideas as to what made previous eras of living on this world much more exciting. And I hope to bring them back in a concept known as living modeling, which I mentioned on this channel. So, living modeling is basically an idea of having people focus on an individual who has an amazingly subjective and um, highly charged experience um, as a main subject. Okay, folks, I've said enough for this video, but thanks for listening and watching, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.